So in this video, we're going to see compound conditionals in action using a real program. So to show that, I made this little sample program over here, and let's just take a look at what we got to start. Okie dokie. So what I did, sorry about a lack of comments, but I'm explaining it to you so that, right? I made a head and some eyes, and I guess the mouth, probably. Then I also made a line that's going to move around depending on if our person is happy or sad. I made a button and a shadow for the button so that you can see the button kind of getting depressed and released. And then I made a button label that just, says the button. Finally, I have two functions that will react with the mouse. I have the on-mouse press function. I have the on-mouse release function, and what happens is when I click the mouse down, I'm going to move the happy, sad center Y a little bit, so that'll change it from sad to happy or happy to sad. Also, the button is going to go down a little bit, and the button label is going to follow along. So notice how the button label is just following the button's center X and center Y here. And the button center X and center Y, that's actually just becoming the shadow center, so it just kind of goes down to it. And then on release, I'm going to release the click, and the button comes back up. It goes back to what it was originally, 65, 100. Let's see, the button was at, I had to do some math because the button's a line, right? So I just had to get halfway from 30 to 100. Anyways, and then the button label, it's going to follow the button as well. So let's see this in action. When we come over here, we have it. Oh, I had it start sad. Well, so when I click the button, it gets happy, and when I release the button, it gets sad again, and also notice how the button is moving down and then up. You can kind of see it getting clicked. Now, an issue with this, as it is right now, is I can click anywhere. I can click anywhere I want, and the button will get pressed, the person will get happy or sad or whatever, and what I want to do is make it a little more realistic, have a reason for the button. And so right now, on mouse press and on mouse, well, really it's just on mouse press, right? When I click, I want to make sure that I'm clicking the button. And then if I happen to move my mouse somewhere, it doesn't really matter where I release. I want it just to pop up. But I definitely want to change my on mouse press so that only when I click the button will the button go down. Now, it's not always like this, right? Maybe you want to have something where it'll only release when you're released, or it'll only come back up when you release above it. I don't know, make a game or something. Do something creative. Anyways, we're just going to change on mouse press. This video is already going to be long enough. So, in order to make sure that the button only goes down when I press it, I'm going to make an if statement, and I'm going to check to see if the button dot contains my current mouse X and my current mouse Y. And only if the button contains where my mouse X and mouse Y are, do I want to do any of this. So I'm going to put all of these things into that if statement. So great, this isn't the point of the lesson, but let's just make sure that this works at least. So now I got it working so that, when I press the button, make the person happy and move button, right? And in the if statement, I might say something like, only do this if I'm clicking the button. Okay, so now we're going to come over here. We're going to rerun our program, and let's see if it works. I click, nothing. I click the button, oh, okay, and I release, and it comes back up. If I click the button and move my mouse, on mouse release, I don't care. I don't care where my mouse is when I release. I just care about it only clicking the button when the button contains my mouse. So now, okay, this is already a 5-minute video, maybe even longer. We haven't even gotten to the point of it. When they gave you, CMU CS Academy gave you this button.contains, or basically any kind of figure.contains method, they did a whole lot of work for you, and we're gonna kind of pry that apart a little bit. And hopefully it doesn't make the video take too long. So the idea is that this contains, you feed it a mouse X and a mouse Y, and it will what am I trying to say? it will do all this work for you, actually. As in, it's going to check the limits, the, top, bottom, left, and right, top, bottom, left, and right of this object. And it's going to check if these coordinates, this x and y, are within that object. So they do a lot of work for you there. It uses compound ifs. We're going to try to break it down ourselves a little bit. And I'm thinking if I should do this in a separate function. I think I'm just going to do it all over here. So instead of button.contains mouse x, mouse y, we got a whole lot of work ahead of us. So what I'm going to check is, all right, if I wanted to only click the button if my mouse is within this button. So it has to be contained. It has to be bigger than the left side of the button, the X, and the X needs to be smaller, bigger than the left side of the button. I think I said left side. And it has to be smaller than the right side of the button. So we're doing it one step at a time. So I'm going to say, okay, if my mouse X is less than the button dot right, I believe. Let's just check that. Let's just check to see that that's working. So we're going to zoom out here. We're going to run this. As I click to the right, nothing happens. When I click to the left, it's going okay because my mouse X right now is less than the right side of the button. And as soon as I go a little bit to the right of the right side of the button, it doesn't click. It's looking good. The only thing is now I got to check against the right side. I know my camera's opposite. The left side, the top, and the bottom. So here's where we get into our compound if statement. So I'm going to say, all right, if my mouse X is less than the right button and my mouse X is greater than the button's left side, the button dot left. Notice this has to be an and. And remember from our concept video just before, and means both the left and the right side need to be true. If one is true, it's not good enough. The whole statement will end up false. We skip this if. Because, let's imagine or. If I say my mouse button is less than the right side, my mouse X is less than the right side of the button, or it's greater than the left side of the button, that means, well, greater than the left side is everything over here, less than the right side is everything over here. I only need one or the other. It's always going to happen. And I need both. I need to be bigger than this and less than that. That's only going to be this zone from left to right over here. So we're going to make an and. Hopefully that made some sort of sense. I can show you. I guess I can show you the and. Watch this. If I click over here, doesn't happen. Click over there, doesn't happen. And somewhere within the button, it does happen. And somewhere within the X of the button, but not caring about the Y, it still happens. If I just change this over to or, it's going to happen everywhere I go. Because if I'm bigger than the left side, it's from here all the way to the edge there. Bigger than the left side from here all the way to there. Smaller than the right side from here all the way to there. No matter where I click, it's always going to go. So we need and here. I just realized, I guess I could do nested ifs here. Maybe I'll save that for a future video because nested ifs is the next lesson. Your compounds can get even bigger. So if I do another and, that is okay. It gets a little freaky, right? You can have and or. You can do parentheses following our order of operations. So now it's going to do in the parentheses first, and then this whole statement compared to that whole statement. Maybe we'll do some more just like straight up math, Boolean algebra stuff to get some better knowledge of ands and ors. It kind of makes sense. Python has it as words. It kind of it makes sense. If I need this and that and that and that, all of them need to be true for the whole thing to be true. As soon as one's false, it's not good. And even the ors, as long as one of them is true, they're all good. It really starts to get complex when you have ands and ors together, or if you have and not or not, then is where you really need to start doing some math practice before you mess around with this too much. Anyways, I need to be between the left and the right, so only here. And then I just need to also be between the top and the bottom. And maybe I will put between the left and the right here, and then and between the top and the bottom. That just feels a little neater to me. So I'm going to say now if the mouse Y is smaller than Oh, smaller than is no good because as you go down, the Y goes up. So I'm actually going to say if the mouse Y is greater than the button's top and the mouse Y is less than the button's, woo, we're running out of space here. Well, you know what I can always do? Just zoom out a tiny bit. Bottom, the button's bottom. Now we're doing the hit detection for everything. I know because I'm smaller than the right and bigger than the left, and then I'm also bigger than the top and smaller than the bottom. This should give me, I click here, nothing. But when I click the button, boom. Oh, we should include the smiley face there. When I click the button, we're looking good. So that is our first example of a compound if statement. We're only using ands, but I hope you can kind of see how you can start doing crazier things. I think my next video is going to be doing some nested if statements to kind of show you can do ands that way too. Maybe it's a little easier to read. Maybe it's a little more complex to read. I think that's about it. Hopefully this is helpful. Hope you enjoy and learn something, and I'll catch you next time.